the adverse effects of penicillin. In my previous lecture, you have learnt about the classification of different types of penicillin and the characteristic features of each of the different groups of penicillin. So penicillins are classified as natural penicillins and semi-synthetic penicillin. In natural penicillins, we have penicillin G. So penicillin G is a natural penicillin. It is available as a soluble salt of sodium and is also called benzyl penicillin. So benzyl penicillin is a soluble salt of penicillin G and can be administered intravenously, but it needs to be administered more frequently because it has a short half-life. Whereas procaine penicillin G and benzathine penicillin G are administered deep intramuscularly because these are insoluble salts of penicillin G and therefore they are administered deep intramuscularly, and this imparts long duration of action. So these are long acting penicillins. Now coming to the antibacterial spectrum of natural penicillins or penicillin G. A characteristic feature of penicillin G is that it has high activity against gram-positive organisms, both gram-positive cocci and gram-positive bacilli. Amongst the infections that are caused by gram-positive cocci are pharyngitis and otitis media, which is caused by Streptococcus pyogenes, and pneumonia that is caused by Streptococcus pneumoniae. So penicillin G is highly active against respiratory tract infections that are caused by Streptococcus pyogenes and Streptococcus pneumoniae and also pneumococcus. Penicillin G also has certain prophylactic uses. For example, in rheumatic fever, low doses of penicillin G reduces colonization by beta hemolytic streptococci. Penicillin G also offers protection against subacute bacterial endocarditis. Procedures such as dental extraction endoscopies can cause bacteremia, and this in patients with valvular defects can cause subacute bacterial endocarditis. So penicillin G offers protection against subacute bacterial endocarditis. Amoxicillin can also be used. So these are some of the infections that are caused by gram-positive cocci in which penicillin G is highly active. Penicillin G is also active against gram-positive bacilli. For example, it is useful for the treatment of tetanus caused by Clostridium tetani, gas gangrene caused by Clostridium perfringens, diphtheria caused by Corynebacterium diphtheriae, anthrax caused by Bacillus anthrax. Listeria is also highly sensitive to penicillin G. However, in infections such as tetanus, diphtheria, gas gangrene, antitoxins and other measures are more important. So penicillin G can also be used for treating infections against gram-positive bacilli, particularly Clostridium and Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Penicillin G also has excellent activity against Treponema pallidum, the causative agent for syphilis. So syphilis is caused by Treponema pallidum, which is highly sensitive to penicillin G. So in the early stages of syphilis, that is primary and secondary syphilis, a single intramuscular dose of benzathine penicillin maintains sufficient concentration in the plasma for an extended period of time for nearly 3 weeks, and this ensures complete eradication of Treponema pallidum. However, in neurosyphilis, where there is involvement of the central nervous system, CSF penetration is critical. In neurosyphilis, sodium salt of penicillin G or benzyl penicillin is administered intravenously every 6 hourly for 10 to 14 days. So benzyl penicillin, since it has a rapid excretion, it is administered more frequently, and it is the drug of choice for neurosyphilis because it attains adequate concentration in the CSF when administered in high doses and administered intravenously. In this way, penicillin G is highly active against infections that are caused by gram-positive cocci, gram-positive bacilli, and spirochetes such as Treponema pallidum that causes syphilis, and listeria that causes meningitis and listeriosis. Now, it is important to note that penicillin G or natural penicillin is highly susceptible to penicillinase enzyme that is produced by Staph aureus organism and Gonococci species, and this led to the development of penicillinase resistant penicillins, also known as anti-staphylococcal penicillins. So this group of penicillin, which includes methicillin, cloxacillin and vancloxacillin, is highly effective against infections that are caused by Staph aureus. So the infections that are caused by Staph aureus are skin and soft tissue infections such as impetigo, cellulitis, wound infection, abscess formation. Next is bone and joint infections such as osteomyelitis where Staph aureus is the causative organism, and septic arthritis which is caused by methicillin sensitive Staph aureus. Thirdly, endocarditis that is caused by methicillin sensitive Staph aureus. Next, bloodstream infections or bacteremia that is caused by Staph aureus, particularly methicillin sensitive Staph aureus. So this group of penicillins is highly active against infections that are caused by Staph aureus. So the penicillins that are included in this category are methicillin, cloxacillin and dicloxacillin. Methicillin has been reported to cause interstitial nephritis. Also, methicillin resistant Staph aureus is widely prevalent. Also, methicillin is administered parenterally, whereas the other anti-staphylococcal penicillins, that is cloxacillin and dicloxacillin, is administered orally. So, there is convenience with cloxacillin and dicloxacillin since they can be administered orally. Therefore, they are preferred for the treatment of mild to moderate staphylococcal infections, and these are known as anti-staphylococcal penicillins. To overcome the drawback of penicillin is resistant penicillin because it does not have any activity against gram-negative bacteria. Extended spectrum penicillins were developed which have additional activity against gram-negative bacteria. So the next group of penicillins is extended spectrum of penicillins, which includes three groups, that is aminopenicillins, carboxypenicillins and uridopenicillins, and they have extended activity against gram-negative bacteria. To overcome the drawback of penicillin is resistant penicillin and natural penicillins. So let's see what are the therapeutic uses of extended spectrum penicillin based on the antibacterial spectrum. So this slide shows the therapeutic uses of aminopenicillins that include ampicillin and amoxicillin. So ampicillin and amoxicillin are aminopenicillins, which is an extended spectrum penicillin. That is, they have extended activity against gram-negative bacteria in addition to gram-positive bacteria like penicillin G. So the drawback of this group of penicillin is that it has no activity against Pseudomonas, Proteus or Klebsiella. So no activity against Pseudomonas, Proteus and Klebsiella. However, they have additional activity against other gram-negative bacteria such as H. influenzae, Bordetella pertussis, H. pylori, which is known to cause duodenal ulcer, gastric ulcer. Therefore, this group of penicillin is useful for the treatment of whooping cough, which is caused by Bordetella pertussis, sinusitis, otitis media, pneumonia, that is respiratory tract infections that are caused by H. influenzae, which is a gram-negative bacteria. Thirdly, typhoid, which is caused by Salmonella typhi, which is a gram-negative bacteria. Again, UTI, which is commonly caused by E. coli. Bacillary dysentery, which is caused by Salmonella, Shigella, and it is also a component of triple drug regimen for the eradication of H. pylori. Therefore, it is useful for the treatment of duodenal ulcer and gastric ulcer because it is useful. It is used as a component of triple drug regimen for the eradication of H. pylori, which is a gram-negative bacteria. Do remember that one of the characteristic features of ampicillin is that it achieves high concentration in the CSF. Therefore, it can be used for the treatment of meningitis. It also attains high concentration in the bile. Therefore, it is the preferred drug for the treatment of cholecystitis. So, cholecystitis and meningitis, where ampicillin is preferred over amoxicillin for the management of meningitis and cholecystitis. So these are some of the infections that are treated by ampicillin and amoxicillin, and the advantage of these drugs is that they can be administered orally because they have good oral bioavailability. They undergo absorption in the GI tract and therefore can be administered orally. Whereas other groups of extended spectrum penicillin such as carboxypenicillin and uridopenicillin are administered parenterally because they do not have good oral bioavailability. So they have to be administered parenterally. So this is a slide which shows the antibacterial spectrum and the therapeutic uses of carboxypenicillins and uridopenicillins. So a characteristic feature of both the groups of penicillins is that they are available as parenteral formulations. They are administered intravenously. Secondly, with respect to the antibacterial spectrum, both the groups of penicillins have activity against Pseudomonas. So therefore, they are also known as anti-Pseudomonal penicillins. So both carboxypenicillins and ureopenicillins are known as anti-Pseudomonal penicillins because they have activity against Pseudomonas. Now, the difference between carboxypenicillins and uridopenicillins is that carboxypenicillins do not have activity against Klebsiella and Enterobacter, whereas uridopenicillins, which includes piperacillin, which is widely used for the treatment of serious infection, has activity against Klebsiella, Enterobacter and some anaerobes, in addition to activity against Proteus, Pseudomonas. Therefore, piperacillin, which is included under uridopenicillin, is the drug of choice for the treatment of serious infections, particularly in immunocompromised patients or neutropenic patients, for the treatment of burns and infections such as urinary tract infections, septicemia, burns, pelvic infections, peritonitis. So serious infections can be treated with piperacillin. To be kept in mind that piperacillin is highly susceptible to beta-lactamase enzymes that are produced by gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. Therefore, piperacillin is usually combined with tazobactam, that is a beta-lactamase inhibitor which protects piperacillin from the beta-lactamase enzymes that are produced by the gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. So piperacillin along with tazobactam, the drug of choice for treating serious infections in immunocompromised patients, particularly infections that are caused by resistant microorganisms where Pseudomonas, Proteus, Klebsiella, Enterobacter are the causative organisms, whereas ticagrelin and carbenicillin are useful as anti-pseudomonal penicillins, but they do not have activity against Klebsiella or Enterobacter. Carbenicillin has become obsolete, it is no more used, and ticagrelin has replaced carbenicillin because it is more active, more potent and less toxic, and the therapeutic uses are they are effective in gram-negative infections that are caused by Pseudomonas, in burns, septicemia that is caused by gram-negative bacteria. Also to be kept in mind that these drugs are usually combined with the beta-lactamase inhibitors as they are susceptible to beta-lactamase enzymes. For example, amoxicillin is combined with clavulanic acid, piperacillin is combined with tazobactam, ampicillin is combined with sulbactam, and these are beta-lactamase inhibitors that provide protection against beta-lactamase enzymes that are produced by both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. So speaking about some of the adverse effects of penicillins, the most important side effect is hypersensitivity reactions. 5 to 8% of the patients that are injected penicillin suffer or they show hypersensitivity reactions. So hypersensitivity reactions can be of immediate hypersensitivity reaction which occurs within 20 minutes of parenteral administration, and late hypersensitivity reaction which occurs after 72 hours of administration. Immediate hypersensitivity reaction is mediated by IgE, and late hypersensitivity reactions are mediated by immunoglobulin M and IgG. So hypersensitivity reactions are manifested by rash, pruritus, urticaria, breathing difficulty or choking, angioedema, cardiovascular collapse, and also leading to death. Therefore, anaphylaxis should be treated with adrenaline, which is the drug of choice for the management of anaphylaxis. It is administered intramuscularly. Also, corticosteroids and antihistaminics can be used for treatment of anaphylaxis. Also, do remember that before administering penicillin, it is important to elicit history of allergy to penicillin. So this could prevent hypersensitivity reactions. Also, to mention some of the other side effects, ampicillin is known to cause diarrhea because the unabsorbed drug causes irritation of the lower GI tract and alters the microbial flora, and this leads to diarrhea. Secondly, methicillin is reported reported to cause interstitial nephritis, therefore it is nephrotoxic and the use has been declined. Carbapenicillin is known to increase the prothrombin and therefore can cause bleeding problems. Also, in higher doses, carbapenicillin is neurotoxic. So, these are some of the adverse effects of penicillin. So, with this, we have learned about the therapeutic uses of different types of penicillins based on the antibacterial spectrum and also some of the adverse effects of penicillin. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you find this video useful.